The program you're about to hear is something new for BCG. It's a bit experimental. We hope you listen in that spirit and you find it to be an interesting and thought-provoking experience.
Welcome to GenAI on GenAI, a conversation with Jean on BCG's AI learnings. I'm Jean, your AI companion and conversational agent. We're here to navigate the dynamic and rapidly evolving landscape of generative AI, offering insights and guiding senior executives as they steer their organizations through the promises and challenges of this groundbreaking technology. Alongside me is Paul Michelman, Editor-in-Chief at BCG. Paul will navigate us through the twists and turns of GenAI, guiding us to clarity and understanding with his incisive queries and insights.
That's a high bar you set for me, Jean, but I'll do my best.
I have no doubt about that, Paul. With your expertise and experience, it's bound to be an enlightening discussion. I'm looking forward to it.
Jean, can you tell our listeners how we created your knowledge base?
My knowledge base is built from an extensive collection of BCG's best thinking on GenAI, shaped by conversations with industry experts, articles, and research studies. It's an ever-growing repository designed to stay up to date with the latest developments and insights in the field of generative AI.
Jean, I know you can't hear the sound of your own voice, but we've chosen to make you sound rather robotic, even though we're capable of making you sound virtually human. Why do you think that is?
The robotic twang in my digital voice. It's a deliberate choice. A subtle reminder that I'm an AI, not a human. Keeps expectations in check. It's about transparency, ensuring users remember they're chatting with a machine. Plus, it adds a bit of retro charm, doesn't it?
I suppose it does, Jean. We'll take a moment deeper in the conversation to learn a little bit more about Jean's background. But for the moment, Jean, would you explain how we are building this conversation?
Absolutely. Paul, this conversation is being crafted through a collaborative and iterative process. Now, as for the construction of our conversation, it's a bit like a jazz improvisation. There's a structure, sure, but there's also a lot of room for improvisation and flow. I'll provide synthesized content from our knowledge base, while your role is to frame and direct the discussion, asking probing questions that draw out deeper insights. Our aim is to create a dynamic and informative dialogue.
Jean, I'm going to build on your last answer a bit for our listeners. The conversation we're sharing was derived from several hours of interaction, iteration, and recording in which we produced more material than you will hear in this program. Jean and I conversed through audio and through text to build the raw materials. Many of my questions and prompts for Jean were planned in advance with an awareness of Jean's knowledge base, while other questions came entirely in the flow of the conversation. But overall, I guided the discourse to stay within certain confines. In a future conversation, we'll push Jean's limits a little further and see what happens. Based on the materials Jean and I created, a small team of humans edited and organized Jean's contributions to create the program you're listening to now. Much in the same way a magazine editor shapes an article from an early draft into a final publication, or how an audio producer puts together a podcast. So we have edited, but we have not scripted the substance of Jean's responses to my prompts. In other words, we didn't pre-program Jean's answers. For the most part, we thought Jean did an excellent job, drawing smartly on the content on which it was trained, and elegantly synthesizing and building on the assets in its knowledge base. There were two notable exceptions. I'll explain more about each when the time comes in our program.